Migrants to be housed in private rented accommodation in the United Kingdom. So the direction of travel and the word on the street at the moment in the United Kingdom is that migrants will no longer be housed in hotels. They will be going into houses, into private accommodation right next door to people who've paid for those houses. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I'm not saying that there's anything nefarious here. All I'm saying is it kind of looks like a conspiracy to me. Can you remember, like a couple of when the Labour government took over, they started increasing taxes and making it very difficult. Excuse me. Making it very difficult for private landlords. Now, by private landlords, I don't mean big multinational corporations, those that can weather the storm. What I mean is they made it very difficult for private landlords, basically, but that type of person that, two people, they've bought their own houses and they move in together, they've got a surplus house and they say, hey, do you know what? We're actually going to rent that out. And then after a while, they think, well, do you know what? We could probably buy another one now, and they buy another one. They're the type of people who the government made it very difficult to rent. We've got this renters reforms bill. We've got all these things that got pushed through by Angela Rayner and her brilliant trousers. And when you look at this, you think that's a bit strange why that's happening. And then you get this bombshell, this absolute bombshell that, that migrants are now going to be living in taxpayer-funded houses. So there's a short video I'm just going to share with you here, guys, how Keir Starmer does not rule that out. And this should be terrifying for each and every one of us, guys, because remember, all these things that are happening now, all these things and all this direction of travel, it's all leading into that rhetoric, into that summer of carnage that I believe is coming this year. Let me just make that big. Oh, hang on. Pause. Where's the sound? Let me just move that back.
People have arrived today on your watch from across on the small boats. Where are they all going to live? Will they be living in rented homes next door to GB News viewers?
Now, watch how he skirts around this question, guys. That is a fair question. That is a fair question. Watch how he skirts around it.
This is a serious problem. The last government lost control of our borders, and it falls to us now to clear up that mess. I'm absolutely convinced that we...
So basically, he's not answered the question. He's just talked about the last government. Fantastic politician.
We have to take down the gangs that are running the vile trade of putting people into boats in the first place. That's why we're passing the Borders Bill.
Do you know what would take down the gangs overnight? Put the Royal Navy on the border in the English Channel between Britain and France. Any boats that come out, you tow them back. Done. Gangs smashed. Taxpayer money spent zero.
Which will give our law enforcement much greater powers. The Conservatives voted against that bill, if you can believe it. That is why we're also processing claims where people shouldn't be in this country. They should be removed, and we've removed 24,000 since we've been in government. That's the highest for nearly 10 years. That's the right thing to do. And in answer to your question about where people should be housed, if they've no right to be here, they shouldn't be housed here at all. They should be processed and removed, and that's what we're focused on. So
now, here's a prediction, guys, all right? They're talking about processing these migrant application claims. They're talking about if these people don't have a right to be here. I'm going to predict right now for you guys that once these people are in houses, they will change the law and just say, yeah, do you know what? Actually, you all have the right to be here now. Look how quick they can push laws through when it suits them. Because guess what? All those people equate to votes.
No plans for rented homes?
Look, I mean, obviously, whilst people are waiting for their claims to be processed, we've got to find accommodation. There's a record backlog.
So there you are, guys. That is what he said. That straight away he said, yes, they will be housed in private accommodation. Listen to that again.
Accommodation. There's a record backlog because of the past government. You know that, I know that. I think the best thing that we can do is to process those claims, and where people shouldn't be here, they should be gone and deported. And that is why I'm really pleased that 24,000 have now.
So let's just take, what are the key takeaways from that then, guys? First of all, he's saying, like, literally, he's not ruling out. What he's saying is where people are here, they have to be housed somewhere. As soon as the hotels are full, guys, where do you think these people are going to be going? you know, all those new housing estates that are getting built, Angela Rayner, we're going to build a record number of houses. We're going to build loads of houses, 1.3 million new properties and new homes, affordable housing. Like, I can remember back in, I'm going off on a little tangent here, guys. You know, in Ukraine before the invasion, before the 2022 invasion, when Zelensky was taken over, the government started to build roads, and it was a big thing. It was a big thing seen, and people were thinking, why are the government in Ukraine building roads? For example, they built a road from Chernobyl to Kiev, and people were thinking, nobody ever goes up there. There's literally nothing there. Nobody travels on that route. Why not bolster the road from from Kiev to Dnipro, for example, which I know is terrible, or the roads from Lviv to Kiev, which you would think would be the strategic roads. No, one of the roads they built in Kiev was, in Ukraine was, and you'll understand why I'm going there. One of the roads that they built was from Chernobyl to Kiev. And again, people are thinking, why are they doing that? Why have the government done this? Again, this was done through, I can only speculate that this was done through backhanded corruption. But that road that was built when the Russians invaded, guess what? The Russians have got a brilliant road now straight into Kiev. So these things are planned long in advance. Now, looking at the United Kingdom, you can see now these renters reforms bills, these Angela Rayner building all these new houses, and then all of a sudden we've got this new law. Oh yeah, we're going to put migrants now into these houses. Who's going to pay for them? Oh, Johnny taxpayer's going to pay for that. We're all going to go and absolutely work our fingers to the bone so that we can have now migrants coming to this country and we can pay for that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the reality of the situation in the United Kingdom. And one of the main things here is that really frustrates me each and every time. And I genuinely don't know what to tell people here, guys. Voting. We think that voting for reform is going to change anything. It's not going to change anything, guys. The problem isn't with political parties. The problem is with the political system, whereby you need donors, and those donors, unfortunately, are all part of the same gang. Those donors are financial institutions, people who've got money to spend. And those people who've got money to spend usually want to spend money to make money. And unfortunately, those donors that are giving money to politicians, they want something in return. Now, I would speculate, and in fact, you know what? I'm not even going to speculate. I'm going to ask a question now, guys, okay? Is there a correlation between those people pushing for this to happen, i.e. Serco, because it was a company called Serco. In fact, let me just it was a company called Serco. Sorry guys, I'm doing this on the fly. Private rented. All right, let me just right, full list of towns where statement on Serco accommodation assignment list, statement on Serco accommodation list, the list of Serco shared on its website. So it was Serco sharing this on their website. So what I would, and I'll put links to this in the description, guys. What I would speculate, not even speculate, what the question I would like to ask is there a link? Is there a correlation between people like investors of Serco, because remember, Serco will have a lot of investors. Is there a correlation between those people and people that were buying houses? Now, remember when the government made it very difficult and we heard that lots of private landlords are selling up and they're moving and they're leaving? Like, who was buying those houses? And is there a correlation in the investment circuit? And where is this money going? Because if these companies have international investment, and guys, listen, how many times have I sat here and said this? International investment is equal to or greater than international wealth extraction. So where we've got companies, these large international companies like Serco who we're investing billions into the economy. No, they're wealth extracting out of the economy via our taxes. There's no caveat to that. So where are these connections, guys? And I would speculate that these connections are not hard to find. So here we have, guys, and this is what a conspiracy looks like. And it's a conspiracy until it happens. Here we have the government making it very difficult for private rent, for people with private landlords, basically. You know, those people who've got 2, maybe 3 houses, they're not multinationals, they're not rich, they're just making a fair bit of money on the side, I guess, and they've got, you know, a little bit of income coming in from rented properties. They make it very difficult for those people. Then they're you know, these big multinationals move in, they buy all the houses up, and then the laws get changed back to more favorable legislation. All the meanwhile, we are funding this with our taxes. Guys, listen, I don't know how long we have before the United Kingdom collapses. All these things, all this direction now, these are all little seedlings. It's all more food for the summer of carnage that I believe will be here this summer. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to back to grid. I'll get you guys another video later.